don't just throw them into a list that is like my generic list. No, if they've downloaded the neighborhood where 123 Banana Street is, my little Glennda, you knew I was working that in. If they download the neighborhood where 123 Banana Street is, why would you throw them into a generic list? Throw them into the neighborhood where, so that when you've got listings, that's where they're looking. Yes, I agree that, this person might not want to be in this neighborhood forever, but guess what they've just told you? They're interested in it because they've downloaded this. So to ignore what people are telling you, this is not something that, I'm shaming people or whatever, because I get it. People really do want to kind of give the information if you've ever interacted with them, give the information that you have. But give the information that they want is a totally different scenario. And it's a more successful scenario because then they're more likely to open it and engage with you. The goal is not to just collect email addresses. The goal is not to just have a great open rate. The goal is for any email is a click-through rate. You want them to click through and connect with you. All of these things. So the way in which, you pay attention to sort of like the consumer behavior of things, like the nerdy part of side, the nerdy side of things, and you can get right down to where, why isn't anybody opening it? Okay, great, it's too generic.
One thing that you do that I absolutely love is rather than showing people mailers that you like, you show people mailers that you don't like.
Yeah. Yeah, in my class, and just so you know, just to kind of let me put this with like a warning. If you have done a mailer that I'm like, oh, this doesn't, whatever, I'm not showing your identity. I block out everything, anything that could be identifiable. My focus is always the messaging. And you're right. I don't think we learn anything from stuff that's good. Like you see this is good, but if there is something that's, in front of you that is, I get mailers like you do to my home every day. And, from a marketing nerdy standpoint, when I get the mailer, I'm like, what? Like, what is this messaging? And so always there's a teachable moment in there. And I, usually when an agent comes to me and we sit down, I say to them like, look, I'm going to be brutally honest, but brutally honest in a way that's not going to hurt you, that's going to instantly change what you do. And I'm sure, I know you're like this, Glennda. It's like tough love.
Yeah.
And maybe in New Jersey, we're a little rougher on that, like the edges. And so I'm originally from New Jersey. So sometimes my friends will say, that was a little too Jersey. But to help people understand, I never find the best stuff, because if you show people what works, they're just going to say, okay, I'm going to copy that. And then you'll have 100 of the same looking mailers all the time. And that won't help you at all. It just
so true. So true. And you really help people take their style, their market, and their product and really create this cohesive brand for everything that they do, whether it's print, digital, or in-person events. Really, you're taking their branding, you're taking their messaging, you're taking what they do and really putting it on steroids.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me is the first thing that I always look at more than the visual. And again, I do that as a marketer. As a consumer, they're always attracted to the visuals first. But as a marketer, I always focus on the messaging. And I find that when I talk to the agent, they know exactly what they do. They know, like, exactly what you do well, and why your clients are coming to you. Where the disconnect happens is that I will look at the messaging and I'm like, but then you don't say that here. And so they tend to fall into the trap of like, yeah, but these words are, these are buzzwords and these are whatever, but it's not what you do. So I think that, taking a step back immediately and saying to someone, okay, tell me what you do well, and now tell me why it's not here in this marketing. You'd be surprised at how many people actually look at that with shock of like, yeah, we didn't say that. I think the mailer that I use often is the one where there was an agent who was like, oh, I've got a great personality and I'm this and I'm that. And on the back of it, they tell you that they broke a record in the neighborhood for, however millions over. And they made the process easy. But on the front where the people were like looking immediately, you tell me that like you're fun. So I think, we get caught up in these things that we see on social and these little, ads that, we're scrolling by, and, some people actually like take a look at them, and take them to heart, and that this is what I should be doing. And no.
You were recently at a women's luxury conference.
Oh,
and
yeah,
we were talking a little bit about it, but I want you to share with my viewers, like what were your three takeaways? Like, where is luxury branding? Where are these amazing brands? And it wasn't just real estate brands. This is, the top, the highest luxury brands across many industries. What is it that you're seeing them shift to?
So this conference was amazing. And it's one of those moments where, I've been doing this for 20 something years now, marketing for like 20 something years. And still, I stepped into this room and I'm listening to these women speak and knowing that I'm coming down the line to speak myself. And I'm like, what am I doing here? Like, there's like one of those internal moments where you're like, what? Head of marketing for Rolls-Royce was there, Lacoste, Victoria Beard, Chanel, Apple, like all of these, incredibly brilliant women. And the things that they were talking about were, I would say, not a shock, but a surprise to like, wow, let me perk my ear up, because they weren't talking social media. They weren't going on and on and on about social. One of them said that the way in which they built their list was white papers, which, and for those of you who aren't familiar with a white paper, it's like a research-based report. It's like an in-depth analysis of a specific topic. White papers are typically quite long to read. So, we were taught, marketers, to keep everything short. So for that, when I heard that, I was like, wow, that's how they built their list, which was, awesome. The next thing that they were talking about, Yves Saint Laurent had a big, Capgemini did this whole report about companies like Yves Saint Laurent and Chanel, who are doing more of QR code based marketing. So when people saw, the marketing, it literally like led them right to it, which is interesting because there's been like a love-hate relationship with the world and QR codes. Restaurants really got used, oh my gosh, restaurants that's how they lived during COVID. If you went anywhere to eat, whatever. But for this to be done in luxury brands, that was a big surprise. And then the other thing was, all of these brands were focusing less on social, less on investing in sort of
influencer marketing.
Less investing in influencer marketing and more in investing in like events. So in-person events where the people who are already involved with their brand can kind of get, an up close and personal. That seemed to be the thing more or less for like Rolls-Royce, these events that were happening, that they took input from clients and then they incorporated it into all of the events. So I think all of these things that we can sit and be like, listen, we are not in an industry that is like Chanel. So we can't, like, until the day you can drag and drop a house into a cart. Some of these things will be a little different. However, we can take, if you're, geared toward a luxury client, and this is the way that they're used to kind of seeing the brands around them, for you to kind of incorporate some of these things, that just makes you just like what they're seeing in other, industries that they interact with. So
it's so,
those were
okay. So I've got a couple of questions. So You talked about white papers and research-based reports to their lists. So is this like to their database list, their email list, their client list?
So you know what they did? It was that they were downloaded. So it's like a free, when you see it, like a free ebook on certain sites. So it was people who were visiting their sites, so that they were, they were targeted to the site with an ad or whatever. And then when they got there, they got this white paper to, to explain whatever. And I know that, there are ways that we can do this in real estate, like, with market reports or easy stuff. But if you talk about market reports in neighborhoods and towns and stuff like that, These aren't the things that you would blast out on social. These should be the things that you allow people to download or email them out once you have it, their email address. So these are ways to build lists, which is not new. But once you have them, you already know that they are interested in, if you've done 4 white papers and they've downloaded one of them, you already know the specific topic that they're interested in. And if you're a real estate agent and you do this and you do it for 5 separate neighborhoods, and you already know the neighborhood that they're interested in when they download it. So that to me was, great. And then what you can do is email marketing for all of these brands is huge. There was every single person discussed email marketing. And, the best thing about email marketing, which most agents don't do, and I'll tell you most agents don't do this because I see it when I sit down with them, they do not segment their lists. They do like a generic, let's just blast it out to every single person because I don't want to miss anybody. But if you do this kind of walk through the white paper issue, you write a white paper on a neighborhood. I'm just giving an example. You write a white paper on a neighborhood, you put it up on your site, they download that white paper. You don't just throw them into a list that is like my generic list. No, if they've downloaded the neighborhood where 123 Banana Street is, my little Glennda, you knew I was working that in. If they download the neighborhood where 123 Banana Street is, why would you throw them into a generic list? Throw them into the neighborhood so that when you've got listings, that's where they're looking. Yes, I agree that, this person might not want to be in this neighborhood forever, but guess what they've just told you? They're interested in it because they've downloaded this. So to ignore what people are telling you, this is not something that, I'm shaming people or whatever, because I get it. People really do want to kind of give the information if you've ever interacted with them, give the information that you have. But give the information that they want is a totally different scenario. And it's a more successful scenario because then they're more likely to open it and engage with you. The goal is not to just collect email addresses. The goal is not to just have a great open rate. The goal is for any email is a click-through rate. You want them to click through and connect with you. All of these things. So the way in which, you pay attention to sort of like the consumer behavior of things, like the nerdy part of the nerdy side of things, and you can get right down to where, why isn't anybody opening it? Okay, great. It's too generic.
Okay, so just stop. So ladies and gentlemen, listen to me. If you didn't hear what Danielle just said, if you didn't hear what she just said, I'm going to repeat it for you for those of you who were a little bit distracted. So stop what you're doing and listen to me now. She said, segment your email marketing. Why do you do that? Give them the information that they want, not just the information that you have. Ding, 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 ding. You want to just turn everything off right now? Go right ahead. You got
that's right.
literally.
I've got literally.
You want to talk about the biggest takeaway that you're going to get from this? That's probably not it. But I'm going to tell you something right now. That was damn sure worth the price of admission. Give them the information that they want, not the information that you have. And if you do a segmented list for your email marketing, you have the ability where whatever they have come in on, give them more, double down on that, segment those lists. That is crucial and critical, and I absolutely love it.